Alright guys, so welcome back to another video in this React series, and as you can see on my left here, I'm bootstrapping a React app using npx create React app, and I'm calling it local data, and you can see the folder is created right here. And for this particular video, I'm going to be looking at how we can fetch local data and then display it in our browser. And I'm going to open this in Visual Studio Code just to show you what I did. This is just lorem ipsum. All of this is just lorem ipsum, but I divided it into titles and description for each one of them, just so that we can have some kind of data to work with. And in case you're wondering, I don't know if you're wondering though, I'm going to be using this as a named export. That's why actually I did this wrongly. So I'm going to remove that export default at the bottom, and I'm going to be using this as a named export just to show you the difference between export default and a named export. So once this finishes bootstrapping, I'm going to be back. Alright guys, so the application has finished processing, so I'm just going to cd into my folder called local data, and then I'm going to open Visual Studio Code in that folder. Okay, and just to perform a bit of cleaning, I'm going to remove the app CSS, app test.js, remove logo, web vitals, and setup. So I'm just going to delete those, and then I'm going to move this file into my source folder. Now this is what my data.js looks like. It's just an ID of 1 through I think 13, okay, with the title of lorem ipsum and description of lorem ipsum. Is just dummy text for all of it. Okay, if you need to copy it, I don't know how you'll do it, but essentially all you can do is just copy like 1 to 5 right there, and then copy it down again, and then just change the IDs to 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so the first thing that I'd like to do is first goes to index.js, and then remove this and remove this as well, and then I'm going to go to index.css and remove this, and in app.js I'm going to remove this, and I'm just going to return a div saying hello React, like that, and then I'm going to spin up my dev server by saying npm start, and then that's going to open my development server. So I'll just open this side by side, and then we can see this in action if it opens sometimes in this century. Okay, while it's doing that, let me just, oh, it's going to give me an error. I didn't see it. Yeah, I need to remove this because I've deleted these files, and then in the app.js I'm going to import useState, the useState hook from React, because we're actually going to need it for setting up our state values. So once I reload that, and then it should compile and open our dev server as normal. Let me just see useState. Okay, that's okay. It should open up our dev server. If not, it should open up right here. Alright guys, so I opened up my dev server on localhost 3000, and this is what we get, which is correct. So the next thing, let me just close this sidebar and then close this terminal because we don't need it. The next thing I'm actually going to need is I have to import my data from data.js, okay, and since it's a named export, I actually have to give it the name that I named it here, otherwise it will give me an error. So I'm going to say import, and because it's a named export, I'm going to import it in curly brackets. I'm going to say data like that from, where's the file, oops, it's just in the same file called data, like that. And then I'm going to set up my my state values, and I'm going to say const what should I name this? I'm going to say just value and set value for now, and I'm just going to say they coming from useState, and the useState should use the data that is available. Now if you want to check whether this is running, all you need to do is come to the return and say it should return what am I thinking about? I'm forgetting how to do this. I'm going to return a div, and in an h1 I'm going to say there are, and then I'm going to place curly brackets like that, and I'm going to say items in the array. So if you want to access the number of items in the array, all you need to do is come and grab our value, because this data is actually reflecting this value here, and I'm going to say value.length, an array method for getting the length of items in the array. Additionally, you can also use data here. It will work the same way, and once I refresh that, it should reload and display there are 13 items in the array like that, because our data has 13 items. Okay, now what do we want to do with this data? First, we would like to actually get the data and display the data. Okay, and if you watch my previous video, we did that using the GitHub users API. That was the API that was online, and I'm just setting this up on a local development just so you can see that it works the same way. So the first thing that I'd like to do is I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to say what should I say for this? Just a moment. Alright guys, so what I think I'll do is actually change my state values, because I'm thinking ahead, and I think this will be a bit confusing. So instead of value, because we actually have text, I'm going to say select the three of them using Control D, and I'm going to say text, and then change this to camel case to say set text like that. And then you can see this is giving me an error, and the reason why is because this needs to be inside a React fragment, like that. Then I can paste it in, and now the error is no longer there. So what I would want is to iterate over my text data, over my data.js that you find here, iterate over this data, and then return a list of this data. As you can see, I was testing it and it works. If I reload it, okay, if I save this and then reload it, it will return this. There are 13 items in the array. Okay, so in order to do that, I'm going to say what am I, my data is text, and I'm going to be mapping, oh my god, is text, and I'm going to be mapping over it, and I'm going to say I want to return a single text like this, and my arrow function, inside my arrow function, I'm going to destructure my data. Okay, and we can do that by saying const and then placing curly brackets, and my data only has 3 values, and I'm going to say ID, title, and description, and I'm going to say ID, title, and description like that, and this will be coming from single text like that. Now once we do that, because the map method will actually return a list of values, I'm going to say return, and I'm going to say return a list item like that, and the list item should always have a key, and for the key in this case is an ID. What I mean is, when you're using map to return a list items in React should always have a unique key. That's why I'm using the ID, because the ID is unique for every set of data, for every object in the array. Okay, so I'm going to say I'm going to return a key, and inside the list item I want to return a div with an h1, and the h1 will be targeting the title value, which will be technically this, the title for each one of them, as you can see. And then I'm also going to return a paragraph below that, and I'm going to say the paragraph will be of description like that. And once you save that, it should display the data like that, and at the bottom you'll find there are 13 items in the array, so I'm just going to remove this because we don't need it anymore. And then once we do that, I'll just like to add some styling to make this look a bit better. But before I do that, because on bigger screens I'd actually want to style this in a way, I'm actually going to to wrap all of this inside another list, and I'm going to say ul, and I'm going to give it a class of list dash items like that, then place that inside just so that I can style it on bigger widths. Once I do that, I'm going to go inside my index.js, and I'm going to say for the URLs I want the list style type to be none, and then I want the body to have a background color of, let me just select it, should I give it a dark blue or a navy blue, right around there, and I'm going to set the color to be white. Why aren't you reloading? Did something break? Something broke. Yep, right there. Okay, there you go. And then I'm going to say let's text align to the center, and then I'm going to go above the body, and I'm going to select the all selector, and I'm going to say I want a margin of 0, and I want a padding of 0. The reason why you have this padding is because these are list items. They always have a padding of 30 pixels by default unless you remove it, and then I'm going to remove this from there, and I'm going to say box sizing to be border box like that. And then I'm going to go for the list items, and for the list items I want a margin of 20 pixels on top and bottom, and 0 on the left and right, and I want a background color of white. Let me see how that looks. Let me place a margin of 20 pixels all around. Yeah, that will push them from the edges. Oops, save like that. Let me add a border radius on them, and I'm going to say a border radius of 10 pixels. Let me remove this color from here, that's so you can see the text. And then I'm going to say for the padding, let me add a padding of 10 pixels all around. And then let me add some spacing between the headings and the list items. So I'm going to say for the H1s, am I returning H1s? Let me just confirm. I'm returning an H1. Okay, I want a padding on the bottom of 10 pixels just so you can push it down a bit. Okay, looking nice. So what do I want to do next? Next I'm going to add a media query just so that it can display these items as a grid when it reaches a great enough width, right about somewhere like here, about 800 pixels, and right there. Okay, so I'm going to say at media and a min width of 800 pixels. I want to grab the list, which we gave a class of what, list items like that, and I want to say display grid with grid template columns spanning two columns and one fractional each, like that. You can see it's looking nice. Okay, now I want to explain something. You see, for a situation like this where the words aren't really taking up the entire space, you see the container will span to be the same size as its correspondent right there. So in order to avoid that, you can just come below here and say align items to the center like that, which will do that. But for now I think the other way just looks fine, so I'm just going to remove it like that. And then I'm going to target a min width of 992 pixels. Just going to grab that, and I'm going to say for 992 pixels. Actually, I should have grabbed all of it. Let me just grab this again, grab this, place it inside there, and I'm going to remove this because it's already displayed as a grid up here, and I'm going to say repeat 3 columns like that. And once I place it full screen, you can see that it's looking very nice. Now let me just remove this 13th one because it looks misplaced. So I'm going to go back in my data.js just to show you that this is dynamic. Once I remove it and save, you'll see that it will come from it will not be displayed. Okay, that's what I mean right there. And then I can say for this Let me go back here and I'm going to say place items to the center. Oops, nope. Place content. What was it? I've forgotten what it was. So just to avoid that, let me just add some padding on the body. Let me just add on the body, let me say a padding of 50 pixels on the top and bottom and 30 pixels on the left and right. That will move it down a bit and away from the edges a bit, and you can see that still looks nice. Though this data doesn't really mean anything, I'm just showing you that it's also possible to fetch local data and display it just as you would with an API, like we did in the previous video. If you didn't watch that video, I recommend you also watch it because it gives some practical example as a real world use case. So thank you guys for watching. If you like the video, remember to like and subscribe, and I'm going to be continuing this series onwards. I'm not sure how many videos I'll do, but perhaps for the entire React course maybe, and once I'm done I'll mention it. So if you like the video, remember to like and subscribe, and thank you guys for watching.